sweet Shakira. You all are gonna do that, right? 1, 2, 3. Sweet Shakira.
But if we can work with people in their teens and get them to think that boys and girls are equal and men and women should be equal, then we can implant levels of gender equity that go through that 70 years as they get old, and they teach their children and their girls and boys that they are equal. So we're talking about 140 years of better gender equity. So 5 good reasons to invest in kids. Current population for the next 70 years, next generation, which sounds even biblical, gender equity, working on inequality. Those are the things that drive us to say to people, just focus on adolescent health and well-being.
Hi, do you have a voting?
Young people, viva!
Viva!
Oh, viva! Old people, viva!
Hello? Hello? Hi? Hi? Echa hola.
Echa hola.
Sure.
I'm going to take this opportunity and give it to our champions and begin to just share what you understand by advocacy.
And in Rumpi, there was an issue of stigma and discrimination. And this stigma, we are not only talking about self-stigma, it was also about the service providers' stigma and discrimination. And then we are trying to say that when youth went to access services there, they were not feeling comfortable to approach the service providers, and even the attitude of the service providers. That's what we discovered there. And the main option which we decided was to have like some stickers to show that when we are being discriminated, we should be reporting to the Ombudsman.
So our outstanding issue that I speak boldly on is from Mutasa. Mutasa is a rural area where it's mostly headed by chiefs. So the issue there was on child marriages. And when we talk about child marriages in that area, it was influenced more by the apostolic sect, where you'd find young people, girls, who are at, I don't know what to call it in English, but when they're gathering, one man would stand and say, the Spirit has told them that this one is my wife. And you'd find that amongst those wives, she would probably be 12 or 15, generally just below the age of 18.
The best way that we can do the sensitization is door to door, by spreading the information to the community. Door to door, and we have to teach them about how to prevent HIV and AIDS, and they should be aware that the clinic have corner space, safe space, so that they can come in and access the SRH services.
First of all, as an advocate, I speak on behalf of people, and people here, I mean adolescent girls and young women. And as I speak on behalf of them, I speak with passion and openly discuss issues that are directly relating to them in areas of SRH and R. So I do that in order to bring change by pitching in within the communities that we have. I identify a gap in that area, and then make sure that I pitch in so that I can be able to bring change. To make sure that they understand the importance of HIV testing, and ensure that they know and they have knowledge on HIV/AIDS and the testing procedures that they need to go through.
If we keep on coming up with innovations that are not necessarily fun and educating and cognizant of the age group that we're dealing with, then maybe the innovations that we're coming up with might not necessarily be effective.
And sugar daisies, whereby they buy you a Brazilian wheel and then you give them unprotected sex. So our role as youth champion was to talk to the girls and educate them, and also we worked with National AIDS Council, whereby we put condoms in toilets, and also go as far as going to the clubs. So we know girls love having fun and all that. So we go to the clubs, put condoms there, and we make sure that girls are safe.
We know that our project is causing a very big impact, because the number of people or the number of adolescents and young women that are coming to access these services now, or asking about these services and asking for more actually in terms of materials and also door-to-door sensitization, is huge now. So we are really happy about that, and the impact is great now.
So Preach Project is helping the adolescent girls and young women to have information, full information of their lives on how to access the services, and they should be able to access them freely and so openly, so that they should not feel like stigmatized or discriminated when they are accessing the services.
I have made great networks through this program. Through being an SRHR activist, I managed to attend some seminars with UNFPA, Sentebale, Ligabibo, which was my first time experiences. And I believe that if I was not an SRHR activist, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to network and to know other things. In overall, being an SRH activist has shown me challenges, but I think challenges were less and opportunities were more.
This is a local newspaper which talks about me holding condoms, like displaying condoms for people. But I was like so excited. I wish I could show you the picture, but they took it down, unfortunately. I was holding, condoms like that. And it's going to be weird for other church believers, because I'm always in praise and worship, and I'm like a holier than thou, and I actually see my church elder right there. Hi, Mildred. Yeah, but it's a unique thing for me because I've just decided to own myself and let people know who I am. So despite that, I'm actually a pastor's child, where people expect that I should be naughty. At the end of the day, people need heroes, right? And heroes despite their backgrounds. And I feel like a background will actually influence what you do. And this is where I am today. You're looking at me at the regional symposium, yeah? Because it's my journey. I decided to own who I am. And that's why I deliver the most unique activism ever. Yeah? Thank you.
What is to future-proof? To future-proof is to design or change something in such a way that it remains relevant or successful even when situations change. Yesterday, Jono mentioned something that made me excited. He said that as SAT, one of their goals is to ensure that young people are self-confident, healthy, and responsible. And as a young woman from Zambia and from Africa, I believe that there are certain steps that I should take to future-proof my life. And these will help me to be healthy, responsible, and self-confident. So the first thing that I do, or that I want as a young woman from Zambia to enable me to future-proof my life, is firstly to invest in knowledge. Information is changing, it's dynamic, the world changes, but information is power.
There was this other day I went to the public hospital where I went for cervical cancer screening. I met a service provider there, and she was like, what are you doing here? I told her, and then she was like, for what? Why are you want to do cervical cancer screening? And then I was, because I'm a human being. And then she said, no, I thought you take yourself as a man. So does men go for cervical cancer screening? So I was like, anyway. Then I turned back. Next day I went to the other hospital, and then there the nurse treated me accordingly. I receive I do the cervical cancer screening, and then from that time I also encourage my friends and also my people from the LGBTI community that it's not good to discriminate ourselves. Sometimes it's good to be, or else to involve ourselves in every group, so that we should learn more things. Despite being an LGBTI community, we can all get HIV and AIDS. Thank you.
So Hamida's talking about a theory you call the AAA. It's actually done by a professor down in University of Cape Town, and it shapes a lot of work on universal health coverage. So accessibility, you raised the issue, can we access the service, right? Affordability, it was interesting, we were in Uganda, and young people were telling us that we had a UHC discussion, and they said that services are meant to be free. So in the policies, in the newspapers, whatever information they have, services are free. They even call up the hospital or the clinic and say, we're coming for this, how much will you charge? And they say nothing. And the young person then uses the little money that they have to go to the hospital or the clinic. And then because of corruption, they see the patient, and then they say, okay, you need contraception, you need this, but we're going to charge you $40. And who do the people complain to? No one cares. And if you don't pay the $40, they then say, we can only give you Panado and go home. So someone went for contraception or some other reason, and they got Panado. I was very shocked to hear that story. Very, very shocked. So that's the affordability, right? I didn't write it down. So affordability, and then the acceptability. So for example, many of you, or I know in your work, you say how the healthcare workers treat you, for example. So is that acceptable? But acceptable can also be the quality of the service you're getting. So that's the AAA model. Thanks.
We have 4 key asks. The first one, we are saying to our communities, allow us to access sexual reproductive health services. Yeah? The second one, we want to hold our stakeholders accountable. The third one, we want greater state and community responses and accountability to the SRA-HR needs of adolescent girls and young women. And the fourth one, our ask is for adolescent girls and young women to be accountable to the SRA-HR agenda.